It's time. Time to get credit for the work you've done. Time to get the recognition you deserve. With Purdue Global, you can move forward in your career, for your family, and for yourself. You're worth the investment in yourself to earn a degree you're proud of, a degree that employers will respect. Purdue's online university is designed to support working adults like you who know it's never too late to accomplish your goals. It's never too late to make a comeback. It's time to start yours today at purdueglobal.edu.
Simple Truth brand makes it easy to find better-for-you products that are free from unwanted ingredients. From fresh produce and snacks to household cleaners and more. You won't find artificial ingredients, preservatives, or harsh chemicals in Simple Truth products. So you can fill your fridge and your home with simple, easy-to-understand choices you can feel good about. Just look for the green Simple Truth circle to get the quality items you want, free from the ingredients you don't want. Simple Truth, exclusively at Baker's.
Episode 365, Rich Friend Secrets with Your Rich BFF, Vivian Tu.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And we are super excited to have our rich BFF, Vivian Tu. She has a new book coming out, and wealth is something we love to talk about, but hate to hear about, right? We love talking about how to get our money right, but we don't always love defining ourselves as wealthy or rich. I think even somebody's always more richer than you, right? And you're like, I'm not there, so I'm not rich. And today we are really going to be debunking that mindset, and hopefully we'll instill you with the social responsibility to define yourself as that. And Vivian's going to be giving you some tips on how to do that, how to accomplish that. And it was a really good interview.
Yeah, she's such a connectable person. Is that a word?
Mm-hmm.
She's easy to connect with, laid back, and really helpful perspective, especially her story of how she kind of came into the space that she's in now. So excited to share it.
Yes. But first, this episode is brought to you by No Spend January. Yep, that's right. It's not brought to you by Christmas, even though Christmas is so close and my son is out of school today because Christmas is so close. And why a Friday? I just wanted to be just 2 weeks, but we got 2 weeks and an extra day, and it's throwing me off. But anyways, let's move past Christmas, all right? If Christmas is a little much for you right now, let's start thinking about January. In January, we are doing a no-spend challenge. All the Frugal Friends are doing it, and including Jill and I. And so we're going to be documenting our journeys. Jill is going to be documenting it in the friend letter. I am going to be over on Instagram and TikTok. And we're going to walk you through No Spend January. We're talking about how we're preparing for it, what we do when the days and the times come up where it is hard to actually say no, what we're doing afterwards with the money we've spent, how we're budgeting, all of these things. We want to hold your hand and walk you through it. So if you would like to do No Spend January with us, sign up for the friend letter. All of our friend letters in January will be kind of centered around the concepts that will help you succeed with a no spend month. Follow Frugal Friends podcast on Instagram and Modern Frugality on TikTok and or Instagram. I'll be doing the same videos on all the platforms. So follow along and let's identify our spending habits that may have gotten out of whack over the holiday season so we can connect with them and reevaluate if these are habits that serve us or they're habits that we want to lay down and replace with something healthy.
Mm-hmm. This challenge is what we need in the timing that we need it. You can join other community members in the knowledge that you're not alone in this. You can even write back to us in the emails. So it's really great.
Yes, frugalfriendspodcast.com.
Mm-hmm.
We got the same brain wavelength, Jill.
Yeah, we are.
So this is not a topic we talk about a lot because we don't consider ourselves a get-rich, net worth investing show. But a thread that runs through all of our episodes is we are not frugal for frugal's sake. We do not save money for the sake of saving money. Our accomplishment with money is not defined by how much money we saved on a shirt or if we bought something secondhand. We do these things to have a greater impact on the world. And yes, some of that impact is sustainability, time, but a part of that impact is money. Sometimes the greatest impact you can have in non-monetary areas is through accumulating wealth because the money is there. Either you have it or it's going to someone else, right? They're even printing more of it. So like we have a responsibility to acquire it and do good with it. So Vivian is on a global mission to make the financial industry less male, pale, and stale. And she is speaking right to you. She's a former Wall Street trader turned expert, educator, public speaker. She is so relatable, and she is a genuinely great person. There are so many people. There are a lot of great people on the internet, and Vivian is definitely one of the best. And she is known as Your Rich BFF. She is our Rich BFF. We hope that by the end of this interview, she's yours as well, and that you go get her book.
Yeah, let's get into the interview.
Vivian, welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, welcome, welcome. I love interviews. They're my favorite, and you're just a powerhouse. So I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah.
With
Jill
you.
Loves,
I'm glad you're
Jill
here.
loves
and I'm
TikTok.
glad I'm here.
Jill spends a lot of time on TikTok. She is extremely invested there. And so she knows exactly everything that you've ever put out. But for people
That's
who are
sarcasm.
not like Jill, can you just tell us a bit about how you came to be Your Rich BFF? Because I think that's a fun story.
Yeah. So I started my career on Wall Street. I was a trader, and that was just like the traditional path that I thought I was going to take. And after I ended up leaving Wall Street and going to the media and tech world because I wanted to wear sweatpants and make more money, my new friends were all basically like, hey, can you help me rebalance my 401k? Which health insurance plan did you pick? Should I be buying our company stock options? And I got so many of the same questions. I thought, hey, like, why don't I just put these videos for my coworkers, not for everyone, for my coworkers online? And I did that January 1st of 2021. And let me say, this was back when TikTok was still TikToking. It was premium TikTok. It was TikTok like without ads, basically. And the very first video ended up hitting. And by the end of the week, that video ended up getting, I want to say like 3 million views. And I had 100,000 followers. And I was terrified. I had no idea where I was going to take this. I was, completely lost. There were no people in my life who were doing this for a living or even doing it as a hobby. So I just had to kind of figure it out as I went. And I was building the plane as I was flying it.
That is a terrifying thing to happen. Like you put out one thing and it's like, now I have to have a whole strategy and a plan
TikTok
behind
was
this.
famous for that. Like there were so many people, like first video was just going off. And I remember your video, that video in particular was on like the front page of TikTok forever. When TikTok For You page was actually a page. And it was just there. Like, and it was so good. It was so helpful. And like you built the plane better than anybody, like any other plane while it was flying. Like you went off and like every single thing was just like helpful. And I love, and still like everything is helpful. It's like not pushing the next affiliate that's going to make you the most money.
Buy my skinny tea.
I'm obsessed. Like, use this crypto bank. Use this crypto app.
Kill me.
Yeah, I love it. And so you're one of the good ones. And so I'm excited to talk about your book and to kind of talk about like expound a little bit on like rich friend secrets. So what are some of the preconceived notions about rich people that you're kind of like made it your mission to debunk or like make accessible?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is that rich people are somehow like morally superior to the rest of us. In fact, typically quite the opposite. I would say like, I think when we think about rich people, our society generally places them on a pedestal. They're better, faster, stronger, whatever. But in reality, they've just figured out the rules of the game and have built up a strategy when the rest of us didn't even know there was a rule book to be reading. So they're not better than you. I love to say that rich people are lazy, but lazy in a smart way in that, instead of, using their bodies or their minds and labor for money, they have realized that their money is a better money-making tool than themselves. So they're able to make money in a more passive way. And I also say that, like, there's nothing wrong with being entitled. We've all seen the horrific videos of like some rich Karen at the front of the McDonald's line yelling at some poor 18-year-old kid who's working this part-time job and like is not the reason why her order's messed up. But in a tiny portion, entitlement is okay. And when used correctly, it just means you know your value. Don't go yell at some poor 18-year-old, but you are allowed to be entitled because your business has value. Go negotiate that late fee on your credit card. Go negotiate your Wi-Fi bill. Make sure that you are paying as little as humanly possible for your favorite streaming service. Like, there are so many ways that you can negotiate, and most people just don't because they think that rich people pay full sticker price because they can afford it. No, rich people are the cheapest people I have ever met in my entire life. They will negotiate and negotiate and negotiate until there is nothing left to be negotiated.
That is something that I have seen with a lot of the people who I know. I mean, of course, there are various types of people in all categories of society, but when it comes to a lot of the wealthier people that I know, this can be true. It can be a little irksome to me at times, like, why are you being so stingy? But I think that there is some of that mentality that is what led them to some of these places, depending on how they came upon wealth, whether it's generational or found within their lifetime. Lots of caveats to be made. But yeah, I think the practices that we put in place now are what's going to set us up for the possibilities of more and more wealth.
Totally.
You're mentioning a couple of these things, but I'm curious, back to I wanted to make more money in my sweatpants instead. Yeah. So for other people who that's really resonating with, like they kind of want the lazy version of wealth building and aiming at, hey, how can I, what is that rule book? What would you say for the regular people listening who don't have trust funds and yet would like a little bit more money?
Yeah. Listen, I don't have a trust fund. My family did not grow up like that. We don't have money like that. I hope my kids do. I hope I can give them that because I didn't have that growing up. But for everyone who is listening, who is like, man, I just want to kick up my feet. I want to relax. I do not dream of labor. You've probably heard that since you're all over TikTok. Well, you know what? Let's think about where we're getting our money. Right now, if you're an individual and you work, your source of income is through your work. You labor. a lot of us are W-2 employees. Some people are 1099s. You're a freelancer, whatever. You do something, you get money. Great. The problem with that, though, is as soon as you stop doing that thing, you stop getting paid. And you need to find as many things and new streams of income where even when you stop doing the thing, you can keep getting paid. So the easiest one, and I say this as a joke, is the only way you can be a 2-income household as a single person, and very easily, is through investing. Because if you are able to take some of that money that you earn by doing that thing and then put it into an investing account, whether that be a retirement account, an educational account like a 529 for your future kiddo, into just even a traditional brokerage account, you then invest those funds into index funds that track the broader market, the total market, maybe have a couple ETFs that focus on sectors you're passionate about. If you're super lazy and just want to kind of set it and forget it, you can consider a target date retirement fund. That money is going to make you money while you chill, while you sleep, and it works 24/7. It doesn't need a lunch break. It doesn't need to go to the bathroom. It doesn't need to go see their doctor or get their teeth checked by their dentist. That money is working around the clock like a hamster wheel, while you can continue to do some of that labor, continue have that money coming in, put a little bit of that money into that investing. And over time, the amount of money you earn from doing that thing will become a smaller and smaller portion of the money coming in. And the money you earn from your money working will be a larger and larger portion of the money coming in. And what you want is for that pie chart to start out with a large section being money from labor and a small section being money from investing. And then over time, those two essentially switch. So you can work less and chill more and still have enough money coming in to support your lifestyle, let you do fun stuff, and continue to buy groceries and have a roof over your head.
I think this is one of the reasons that we hear so many people advocating for beginning to invest young. That if you are kind of one of those normal, typical people who doesn't feel like you have a lot, then time is on your side to start early. And I think we're seeing a lot more, at least than from our generation, starting to understand and learn these things, probably thanks to people like you, Vivian, letting people know on TikTok how to do this thing.
Yeah, I love the way you put it in that like pie chart, like starting out laboring, but we don't want that to be forever because everyone thinks that they're going to retire at 65, 70, and the average retirement age is between 60 and 65. So like you're likely not going to get those last 5 years you think you're going to get working. So to start as early as possible, start 5 years earlier than you think you should with investing, then you kind of protect those last 5 years. Like in the middle, yes, everyone's working, everyone's investing, like everyone's going to have pretty similar middles, but it's what you do in the beginning and the end that like makes a big difference. And if you can just start a little earlier than you had planned on, then you'll set yourself up for being able to chill much, much sooner. Even if early retirement is not the goal, you can see that a lot sooner. Are there any other? Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I was just going to add on, like, listen, the best day to start investing was yesterday, and the second best day is today. But I don't want people to feel like they have all this time and they can wait till tomorrow, because let's just look at the math. You can actually look this study up on Google if you aren't currently driving or whatever. If you, invest a certain amount in your 20s, they compared this with investing double in your 30s if you hadn't started in your 20s. And the people who had invested less money overall but started earlier ended up retiring with more money. And I think that just really speaks to, it's not about the money, it's about the time.
Yeah. And we say the best way to save money on retirement is starting early. Yeah. You save so much money if you just start earlier than you think you need to. It's the best way to save money. And the only reason to focus on frugality as like a useful money sort of system in the 80-20 rule is because it allows you to save more to invest. We don't save for the sake of hoarding or buying more.
Exactly.
We save more so that we have more of our income that we're wisely choosing to labor over. We have more to invest.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So, buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So, how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing. And of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
Simple Truth brand makes it easy to find better for you products that are free from unwanted ingredients. From fresh produce and snacks to household cleaners and more. You won't find artificial ingredients, preservatives, or harsh chemicals in Simple Truth products. So you can fill your fridge and your home with simple, easy-to-understand choices you can feel good about. Just look for the green Simple Truth circle to get the quality items you want, free from the ingredients you don't want. Simple Truth, exclusively at Baker's.
So, looking back, was there a particular person or mentor who played a key role in your success or like imparting these like rich people secrets into your life? And how can other people like find people like that?
Yeah. Without a doubt, I would be completely lost without this person. When I started my job on Wall Street and I showed up day one, it was like 30, 40 old white guys. Like, no surprise. And the only other person who wasn't a man and wasn't white was another Asian woman. She was, quite senior in her career. She was still very young, but for the first time, I saw someone who looked like me and was basically a confirmation that someone who looked like me and came from a background like I did deserved to be in that room. And I wanted to be her so badly. And she was the one who asked me, "Are you contributing to your 401k?" And I was like, "My what?" Didn't know what that was. She would be the person who was like, "Oh, are you using like the company catalog to save on hotels?" I was like, "The what?" Didn't know what that was. She would even buy me lunch every single day because I just did not have the money. And she truly was the big sister I'd never had. And I feel so grateful to her. I mean, I even dedicated my book to her. Wow. She changed my life because for the first time, she showed me that people like me deserve to be wealthy. And at first it was super shallow, right? She would walk into work with a new Chanel bag every day, click-clacking on the marble floors with her Gucci stilettos. And that to me, I was like, that's pinnacle wealth. That's peak. Like, I need to have these things. But over time it became, she gets to go on vacation and not worry about the price. She gets to send her mom money and not worry about the amount because she's just happy to pay for that surgery. It's not a problem. She takes care of people. And over time, the things that I saw her doing that made me want to be like her changed, but she was always the blueprint for me.
That's cool to hear those different layers that, yeah, she had the nice shoes and handbag, but that it also went deeper for her and that you were able to see those beautiful aspects inside of her as you endeavored to get to know her more and kind of become the best version of yourself. It sounds like she was kind of there when you began your job. Are there any tips that you would have for people who are looking for that person that looks like them, feels like a representation of them, helps them feel as though they have a seat at the table? Where are people finding these types of voices?
Yeah, finding a mentor is more of an art than a science. There's no perfect way to find a mentor, but I highly recommend looking at your education. So if you are currently in college, is that professor going to be your mentor? Is that person from career resources going to be your mentor? Is it maybe just an adjunct that you really, really, admire? My mentor in college was the professor who was my thesis advisor. I was just calling this dude on his cell phone all the time being like, hey, Professor Harris, like, do you have a second? Like, can we go grab coffee? And there will be mentors throughout your life, whatever you do. When it comes to actually the workforce, one of the easy things you can do is join affinity groups. So in certain places, this looks like an AAPI group or a women's group or a BIPOC group or an LGBTQ group. That's a really easy way to find a mentor that you identify with pretty much from jump, right? Because all of the people who belong to that organization probably identify that way or identify as an ally. I was given another mentor at work through the women's group, and she was great. Anytime I had a complaint, anytime I needed to vent, I would call her. I was like, can we get a coffee? As you can see, I was drinking a lot of coffee at the time. And, this is also something that you can get from local community resources groups. If you are religious, anything from your temple, your church, your mosque, your synagogue, whatever, go there. Find someone that you really, really, admire, someone who is where you want to be. And frankly, these days with the rise of the internet, you can literally just slide into people's LinkedIn DMs, make a compelling enough case, ask to buy them a coffee. And oftentimes I would say that most people who are in positions of power or positions of prestige, they didn't get there on their own. They had a helping hand. They had someone giving them a leg up. They had someone mentoring them. So when people receive those messages, more often than not, they're pretty receptive. It's quite warm. My fiance will complain about it. He'll be like, oh my gosh, this is the third person from my company who's asked me for a coffee chat this week. And I was like, oh, are you going to go? And he was like, well, of course I'm going to go. And I'm like, okay, so then don't complain about it. But I think it's just really rewarding to see someone that needs your help, get it, and then feel like you contributed to their success. So I would say people are really willing to give back. Use your digital sources, your local community sources, and any sort of affinity groups you might be in.
Yeah. So two things about that. I know it all sounds good and it makes sense, right? Like become wealthy so that you can pay for your parents' needs and just reach out to somebody to be a mentor. But inside, I know a lot of people, myself included, have had barriers to that. We think as frugal people, because we don't quote unquote need the Gucci bag and shoes, that we shouldn't become wealthy, or that we are a burden if we reach out to people, or that we're mooching, or that we are taking advantage of the system if we reach out and use networks. And it's been it started to transform in my mind ages ago. But when it really clicked was when we interviewed Mandy Woodruff-Sanos from Brown Ambition, where we were talking about how do you get these jobs that pay really well. And it's people do not go through the front door. People always go through the side door. It's always through the side door. And I have found the longer that I've been in business, the most success that we have had with everything we have done has always been going through the side door. It's always who you know. And that's not a negative thing. It's work. It's work in a different way, right? So you can work and just pedal the bike going through the front door, or you can work to make connections to get through the side door. Both are work, but which one are you going to see the most benefit from?
Yep.
And so I love yes, everything makes so much sense. But it is still so hard for that to be when you're in this lower middle class income bracket to think that way.
I think the thing that you said that really, really spoke to me and was so I just think is so messed up for people to think is I don't deserve this money. And that's crazy to me, because I want everyone listening to just like, not if you're driving, but like close your eyes for a second and think about why you want that money. It's not because you want to buy a golden toilet or a Birkin bag or go drive a lime green Bugatti. You want that money to help your dad with his cataract surgery. You want that money to help make sure that your kid doesn't have a mountain of student debt after they exit college. You want that money so that you can remodel your home so that it's wheelchair accessible for your mom who may have just had a medical concern. You want that money so that you can build a home that your family can live comfortably and safely in and feel love and safe. When we think of wealth and money, largely we think of what has been depicted on our TV screens, on movie screens. This is the Jordan Belfort throwing cash off of a yacht. That's not what actual wealth is. Actual wealth is just optionality. It's freedom of choice. It is being able to take an Uber at 10:30 at night instead of having to take the subway as a young woman. That is not something that's like such a luxury to me. That's a safety concern. And because I have money, I am able to make that choice. It is the difference between, me feeling like I'm going to be absolutely crushed with work because I have to do this and go grocery shopping, or just getting Instacart delivered. Convenience is something you are allowed to have in your life. You work so hard to be able to have these things. So it's crazy to me that people don't feel like they deserve the money. When I ask is, if not you, then who? Because if you are a woman, if you're a person of color, if you're part of the LGBTQ community, if you're an immigrant, if you grew up low income, you know what happens when you get money? Nothing bad. We've all seen what happened to Mackenzie Bezos, okay? She's just trying to light the stuff on fire, give it away to every charity under the sun. When these communities get this money, it doesn't stay hoarded. It's reinvested back into women-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses, LGBTQ-owned businesses. It's then also reinvested, not just through the form of physical cash or, whatever, but like knowledge. You then share with your book club. You then share with, your running club. You share with all of these people who are around you and are, likely identify similarly to you, because naturally we make friends with people who have close proximity to us, both physically, geographically, but also, in terms of socioeconomic status. You're able to help lift other people up. So if not you, then who?
Yes. As people who know how to spend money and how to spend wisely and know that the most important things cannot be bought with money.
That's right.
That we have a social responsibility to be wealthy.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm hearing that redefinition of what it means to be wealthy and what we can do with our wealth. I think for me, one of the barriers has been that I didn't grow up with much money. And so I definitely attached this, it's bad. Most of the people that I saw who had it were not the type of people that I wanted to be like or be around. And so I think it has also required of me a shift in viewing money as neutral. And just because I didn't have it doesn't mean that I have to villainize it. I am able to have it, learn how to manage and steward it well, and be generous with it. Once it gets to that point too, which is exciting. And so if this is sounding, good to some of our listeners of, okay, yeah, switching up the mindset that we can be the type of wealthy people that we want to be. I'm curious if you've got, as our final question in this segment, if you've got any kind of tips, your like rich AF hacks that you love, your followers love. Curious what your kind of top few are.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest topics that people love is they say, and I don't agree with this, it's a little late for me, but I want to make sure, Junior is 1,000% set up to be a rich person. How do I do that? And I always have, 3 tips that I'm like, this is creme de la creme. If you do this, your kid will basically be starting on third base. First and foremost, as soon as you adopt a kid, have a kid, whatever, pop them as an authorized user on your credit card. You make sure you pay your monthly balance in full and on time. By the time your kid is 18 and actually ready to go take out a loan, whether that be for a car that they need to drive to college or they need to get an apartment on campus, they are going to have a near perfect credit score and it'll just make sure that they're not having to pay extra fees. They're going to get the best rates. They're going to get the best terms, and you're going to set your kid up for success. 2, if there is any way for your child to have earned income, this includes babysitting money, lawn mowing money, snow plowing money, anything that allows them to have a paper trail of money coming in, open up a custodial Roth IRA for them and take those earnings and put them into that account and then invest them. Essentially, what happens is that money is going to be able to grow through their lifetime, and they are going to have an early start for their retirement. And through that custodial Roth IRA, when they are at retirement age and ready to start taking that money out, it is 100% tax-free, baby. And we all love a legal tax loophole. Mm-hmm. And then, last but definitely not least, know that education, you can't see me, but I just rolled my eyes. Education is so unbelievably expensive for so many people these days. And unfortunately, whether or not you go to a traditional 4-year college and get a bachelor's degree, you probably need some form of higher education to get a job. So whether that be trade school, culinary school, beauty school, any sort of apprenticeship, things like that, you're going to need to go to some sort of higher education. And if you want, you can do something called opening up a 529 account right now in your state. Unfortunately, no federal tax benefits, but there are tax benefits in the majority of states. So you essentially start putting money into that account now and tag yourself as the beneficiary. Then once, you're putting money in, it's being invested. Once your kid's born or adopted, you then assign that account to them instead. You just switch it over. It's just a little paperwork, no problem. This allows you to save essentially on a tax-advantaged basis for their education. You can take out $10,000 a year to pay for private schooling up to K through 12. And then there's an unlimited withdrawal for higher education, such as college, trade school, things that I talked about before. And it's just a great way to optimize your taxes, but also be investing for kiddos' future.
Yes.
Amazing.
All of those are great. And then for the states that don't have an advantage, like Florida doesn't have any tax benefits for choosing a Florida prepaid. My 529 is in Ohio because it has one of the better choices for index funds. So that is just another benefit. And yeah, we chose to just put a lump sum in when Kai was born, and we don't even invest monthly in it. This is how much we would put in over 10 years. And we just put that in and we're letting it ride. So
lucky kiddo. Lucky kiddo.
He is so lucky. But yeah, all of those. And I would say also, because we get it all the time too, it's too late for me, but how do I teach my kids about money? And the first way to teach your kid about money, the first way to set them up for success is to believe that it's not too late for you. They are only going to learn, you can save all this money for them, right? But if you don't teach them how to spend money and how to earn money, then they're not going to spend the money wisely. So it does start with you right now. Is it too late for you to become a multimillionaire? Maybe, I don't know. It could be. It's not too late to change your habits moving forward. And that is impacting children more than just showing them a YouTube video about how compound interest works, though it is quite effective. But yeah, changing habits and talking openly about money. I think that's another rich person's secret that we don't get, is that they talk about money. They love talking about money. And they love being generous. So, yeah.
Do you know what else is for you right now?
Is not a secret by any means.
Super generous. The bill of the week.
right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the bill of the week.
Yes.
We
Vivian,
said we'd yell at
week,
you.
I know. We said we yell in your direction.
I like that.
Every week, we invite our listeners and or our guests to share with us their bill for the week.
Mm-hmm.
And we would love to hear yours.
Can I tell you, I was racking my brain for my bill of the week. And because we're doing this section, I literally just remembered I have a bill from my ophthalmologist, not optometrist. So I went to my optometrist to like get my just like annual checkup to get my contacts prescription renewed so I could get my full year of contacts. And she called me with a little bit of alarming news. And she was like, hey, like no biggie, but it appears that your, optic nerve is a little thick, which like can be a concern if you have family history of glaucoma. And I'm like, oh shoot, my aunt has glaucoma. So I went to the ophthalmologist. All of these words are impossible to say. They did this like random test where I was like looking at lights and, clicking buttons while I was looking at them. They took a bunch of photos of my eyeball and the ophthalmologist basically came back and was like, nah, you're good. Like your nerve is just like your nerve could be in like a Bubba Sparks video, but it's fine. And now I have the bill for that I need to pay. It's like roughly $200 something. I'm going to go ask for an itemized bill so I can see what all the money's for, just to make sure there are no inaccuracies. But then I'm going to go pay it.
Oh my gosh. Vivian, the same thing happened to me.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So I have been wanting LASIK for 10 years. And so when we got our book advance money, I was very responsible and I took it and I got LASIK. And you had to do all these tests before so you could determine if you were eligible for it. And that's what they said. They were like, your optic nerve is a little thick, but your pressure is fine. But you might want to just keep an eye on it if you have a family history of glaucoma. And I was like, my grandmother had glaucoma. So literally, yes, in September, same exact thing happened to me. And they're just like, even though you're going to have 20/20 vision, keep going to the optometrist to keep an eye on it.
This seems like a scam, but okay.
Yeah, right? I was like, okay, I'll just, I'll wear my blue light blocking glasses and hope for the best.
Can I tell you, I got special contacts that block blue light because they sold me on them because I was like, oh, well, I can't. I mean, my thick nerve, I must protect. So I went and spent extra money on these stupid, like slightly yellow contacts.
Yes, I
don't even
bought
know if they
on
work.
Amazon blue light blocking glasses after that LASIK. Yep, it's all a scam.
Amazing.
Everyone's got Bubba Sparks nerves, I think.
I'm so glad that you both are okay for now.
For now.
If you all listening have been to an optometrist, ophthalmologist, gynecologist, and you don't mind paying for these things because it's preventative, it gives you the knowledge you need, or your name is Bill and you've not been to the gynecologist lately, frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill. Leave us your bill. We so excited for it.
Simple Truth brand makes it easy to find better for you products that are free from unwanted ingredients. From fresh produce and snacks to household cleaners and more. You won't find artificial ingredients, preservatives, or harsh chemicals in Simple Truth products. So you can fill your fridge and your home with simple, easy-to-understand choices you can feel good about. Just look for the green Simple Truth circle to get the quality items you want, free from the ingredients you don't want. Simple Truth, exclusively at Baker's.
It's never too late. Never too late to earn a degree. Never too late for a comeback. Between your busy career and taking care of a family, it can feel like there's never a good time to go back to school. But your time is now. Time to start your comeback with Purdue Global. As Purdue's online university for working adults, Purdue Global is dedicated to supporting adults like you who know it's time to earn the recognition you deserve. You have the experience, you have the knowledge, It's time to get credit for the work you've done. You can balance work, family, and everything in between while earning your degree. It's time to move forward in your career, for your family and for yourself, with a degree you're proud of, a degree that employers will recognize and respect. You're worth this investment in yourself to earn a degree you deserve. It's never too late. Never too late to go back to school and come back stronger with an education you can trust. Now is the time for your comeback. Start yours today at purdueglobal.edu.
And now it's time for the lightning round.
Pew, pew, pew. You know, I recently discovered that we do have sound effects on our recording platform, but we just been doing our own sound effects so well for the last 5.5 years. Like, why would we mess it up? Right?
Yeah.
So we've just been honing our skills.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to hear what their pew pew sounds like, because I'm pretty good at mine. All right, now it's time for the vulnerability round, where we're going to get really up close, obnoxiously personal, and everyone's going to answer this. What did your gynecologist say at you? No, I'm just kidding. What is your personal definition of rich? Like, dream, wealthy, like you've hit it. What is it? Vivian, you may go first.
I feel like my definition of rich is pretty simple. Like, I feel like I have hit it. It's just having the money to be able to make decisions that serve me and leave any situations that don't. So if I have a toxic boss, I'm out of there. If I have a toxic partner, I'm out of there. Not mine. Mine's great. I'm engaged. But, just having the money to live my life exactly how I want to live it without making compromises due to money.
That's awesome. Yes.
What about you, Jen?
Similar. I think I want to be able to make choices that I want to make when I want to make them. I mean, I think we've spent enough time doing the hard work of really setting ourselves up for success. And which is why, now, I would not say that we are rich by any means right now, not because we're scared of it, but just because our priorities in life are different than they were or will be. I think having young children has forced me to really pause on the labor side of making money, which will inevitably slow down the making money. But we did that hard work. We front loaded it, maxing out 401ks, IRAs, taxable brokerages. Well, not maxing those up, but we did the hard work up front so that we could set ourselves up right now to be able to coast a little bit just for these years while we're paying for daycare, and then ramp it back up in the future. So,
yeah. I think for me, it's enough. I think when you can identify what is enough and find a contentment in that, that to me feels rich. And I think it does include, you mentioned this a lot, Vivian, just the ability to cover medical expenses. Oh, me rolling my eyes over here on that one too. Just the cost of education, the cost of medical care. I think it's so disproportionate. It's disconcerting. It's disappointing. What are the other Ds?
Nobody chooses to get sick. Nobody chooses to get a kidney stone. I just think it's kind of messed up that the number one reason for bankruptcy in the U.S. is medical bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you pick to get cancer? Because I don't think anybody opts in for that one.
Yeah.
And I think that's really messed up because medical care should be a human right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not there yet. But I mean, if I felt okay, I don't have to worry about medical bills, that would feel really rich to me. Someday.
Yeah. Definitely. We've tempered our standards in our 30s, but I think I hope what the main takeaway from today is, at least for our listeners, because we're a frugality podcast. I hope that frugality is not the end game, and we never say it is. Being frugal for frugal's sake is not something to be proud of. What we should be pursuing and most proud of is what we are able, the impact we're able to make with our money on our family, on our community. And in order to have impact, a greater impact, you need a greater amount of wealth. And it's not only something you should not be ashamed of, but that you should feel a responsibility toward.
Yeah.
And I, Vivian, I'm so excited to read your book. If it's anything like the content you've been putting out, like for the last 4 years, it's going to be just full of helpful tips and strategies to help people get to that place where they feel confident in calling themselves rich and how to get there. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. Where can people get the book and get more from you?
Thank you so much for having me. Your book copies should be in the mail on the way already? ? I hope so.
Maybe. I guess we'll see.
But you can find my book at richaf.me. Yes, I made the website a manifestation because I think we could all use a little bit of a pep talk in our lives. So richaf.me for the book. And then you can find me across social media as Your Rich BFF.
Amazing. Thanks again, Vivian.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for having me.
That was fun. I really love her perspective on how we can reframe our view of wealth and the reasons behind why it doesn't have to be this thing that we repel. Instead, we can embrace it in a way that makes sense to us, to be used in a way that is valuable to us. I think it's kind of that next step or adjacent step to the values-based spending that we talk about, that your spending doesn't have to look like everybody else, and neither does your wealth building or the things that you choose to do with any levels of acquired wealth. I think it's really beautiful. And I think resonated with me of, yeah, that's the reason I want money, is to be able to care for myself and those around me. I think that's the most benefit that the tool and resource of money can be. And I think she highlighted that well.
And I love that you pointed out that finding your enough was really important to an aspect of becoming rich or becoming wealthy. When you find your enough, it's not that you found your enough of accumulation of money, it's that you found your enough for spending, and that you can continue to earn and build wealth beyond that, and that the rest of it is stuff that you get to do good things with. I think sometimes we're afraid of this like hedonic treadmill where we just keep working towards the next thing and the next thing, and we think that's going to make us happy. And we, as frugal people, want to reject that. We're not running the treadmill. We just want to be content with what we have and save money so that we can afford things kind of where we're at. But I hope that this maybe inspired some people to go above and beyond that, to know that just because you are earning more doesn't mean that you are climbing some corporate ladder or you're becoming unrelatable because you have earned more money. That really comes from within. When you define your enough, you know what you value, and you're spending money on it, then yeah, sure, your lifestyle can inflate a little. You've earned that. You are worthy of that. But there's also so many other good things that you can do for your immediate family, your extended family, your friends. Like, I love going to FinCon, the financial media conference, because there are people who have been going there a long time who've made a lot of money on the internet, and it's literally just their week to like kind of give back to the community that helped them, that made them. And I always get so many free drinks and dinners from people because of that.
Free dinner is a good dinner.
Right. And you can be that person. It doesn't have to mean like all of your money is going to charity. You can be that person giving back to the industry or the organization or the people who have been with you. Like Drake. Like you can be like Drake, giving back to your people. So be like Drake.
Thanks for listening, everyone. One of the things that we really love is reading your reviews when they're really kind. And we especially liked this one from Kay Pels that is titled Fun Podcast for Frugal Folks. Thank you, Jen and Jill, for taking the guesswork out of frugal living. This podcast is both fun and jam-packed, full of helpful tips to get you started and keep you motivated on your frugal journey. Living paycheck to paycheck and saying no to friends is no fun, but these hosts remind me that there is fun to be had while living frugally. Thanks, Kay Pels.
Yes, thank you, Kay Pels. Yeah, living paycheck to paycheck is no fun, but you don't have to deprive yourself. You just have to choose your sacrifices. And I think when you start, I got the question the other day, like, how do you keep your focus on these midterm and long-term goals when the short-term satisfaction, the instant gratification is always right there? And I said, it's hard. That's a hard question, right? You have to have this intrinsic motivation that the value, like what you want more than instant gratification, what brings you joy from saving and saying no to things you don't value, like, is the ability to take care of your friends and family, the ability to invest in the places that you love. Like, when that brings you more joy than accumulating stuff or eating out all the time, that's when you do it. So it takes work in figuring out what those things are. But like, that's how it's not, when it becomes not just like having your eye on a mid or long-term goal, but it actually brings you joy to say no to something because you know you can say yes to something else. That's when it slaps.
That's when it claps.
That
claps and slays.
Yeah. Oh, so thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please take a minute to leave a rating and review. It helps potential new listeners know what our show is all about. And if you already have done that, please subscribe to the friend letter and join us for No Spend January. It is not a no spend month for no spending money's sake. It's a strategy that helps you learn a lot about your spending in a short amount of time so that you can make significant changes fast.
FrugalFriendsPodcast.com. See you next time.
Bye.
Frugal Friends is produced by Eric Siriani.
Jen. I have guests coming. Always. I could just have a button and say, guests are coming. And this particular round of washing bedding, since the last guest included washing the top quilt, the comforter, I guess I hadn't done it before. Or maybe I did it differently the last time.
Wait, all of your guests, you haven't washed
the comforter was relatively new, like since we finished the bedroom. So we've probably
that's where everyone wipes their nose in the middle of the night.
No, hopefully they do that on their sheet.
Nope.
Not you? Oh, man. I've probably had 5 guests. Now, I don't wash the top quilt every time. Do you?
Yeah. I mean, we have
every
an Airbnb.
Time, but you'll wash the top quilt every time?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's where people wipe their nose.
No, I fold the top sheet down over the quilt so they know this is where you wipe your nose.
So if it's personally for me, no, my room, I don't wash it every single time. When it's other people, when it's our Airbnb, yes, because that's where people wipe their nose.
No, I don't wash the top blankets every time. So
You hear
there's
that,
a hot
guests?
take.
I know your guests listen
Let
to the
us
show.
know. That's so funny
Your friends
because,
listen.
yeah, I would consider myself like very clean. And that feels
And
like
I would
something
not
that
consider myself clean.
only needs to happen like occasionally. Anyhow, it felt like, all right, now's the time. I'm going to wash it. Behold, hark. Unfortunately, I put it into the dryer and it like shrunk and stuck together and pulled up.
What?
Pooled together? Yeah, I don't know.
Like the stuffing inside balled up?
The stuffing inside in only some parts like congealed together. And then it kind of then like shrunk parts of the whole blanket. I'm very bummed about this.
So you use an actual comforter.
Yeah, this was a comforter.
I use quilts.
And you know what? That's what I'm going to have to get now. Something that can be washed regularly. I mean, this was such a nice kind of lightweight, but yet comfy, fluffy. I loved it. It did fit in my washing machine, but then got ruined in my dryer. I'm a little bit salty about this because it is not what I want to spend money on. I'm a little bit bummed that I washed it, but yeah, I mean, after talking to you, this is necessary.
Yeah.
And there isn't a world where it's like, all right, well then wash it and then lay it out to dry. That's a life I can't live. I can't have to factor in air drying time with this
you'll die before
blanket
it's dry.
Taking up my whole house.
Mm-hmm.
So
It'll
now
just be
I've gotta
constantly wet.
I got to buy something that's going to last me longer that can withstand washes. But I'm bummed. This is one of those like spending things that I don't want to spend on. And I kind of have to. Thank you.
People also sit down on the comforter naked. And their butts are on it.
No, Jen. Yeah. No. What you do,
that's not how people live. And then maybe it's me because I'm not the cleanest.
You do that on the sheet. You pull back.
How do you do when you make the bed is made?
You pull it
just
back.
sit down. You pull it back?
I'm telling you.
Everybody else just sits down. Everybody else
them
just
robes,
sits
though.
down.
If they need to sit naked, they should have their robe.
Robes.
And then if not, then it should happen on the sheet. This is gross. And here, you know what?
You need to. Have you taught your guests how to be guests at your house?
I just kind of assumed that there was a code of conduct that everyone understood. Ay. Okay, I'm going to get something that I can wash regularly, and that's what's going to happen. But here's a PSA for everybody. I don't think that hotels will wash their top comforter regularly. Although there are a lot of hotels who are more doing like the duvet covers now. Have you ever watched Hotel Impossible? Maybe it's a little bit more like your budget hotels.
And
but
I don't stay at budget
one of
hotels.
The reasons not to sit, especially at a hotel or an Airbnb. They might be like me thinking, you don't have to wash that top bedding. So I'm just accustomed to you pull it back. You use the sheets. The sheets have been washed.
Simple Truth brand makes it easy to find better for you products that are free from unwanted ingredients. From fresh produce and snacks to household cleaners and more. You won't find artificial ingredients, preservatives, or harsh chemicals in Simple Truth products. So you can fill your fridge and your home with simple, easy-to-understand choices you can feel good about. Just look for the green Simple Truth circle to get the quality items you want, free from the ingredients you don't want. Simple Truth, exclusively at Baker's.
With the best all-inclusive vacation deals to Mexico and the Caribbean, booking your getaway with Cheap Caribbean Vacations means you have more freedom to do your deal. Whether you want to enjoy snorkeling, endless margaritas, and more, or simply soak up the sun and sand in a tropical paradise, Cheap Caribbean Vacations has your deal for that. Plan and book the exact getaway you want at exactly the right price for you by using our exclusive Budget Beach Finder, or find a featured all-inclusive package to Paradisus by Malia Hotels, and do your deal at cheapcaribbean.com.